Good morning and welcome back here at ECCMID TV, brought live to you from Pavilion 1 here at the 32nd ECCMID Congress Center in Lisbon, Portugal. My name is Judith Cohen. I am your host at the ECCMID TV live broadcasts. It's 10 a.m. on day 3 of ECCMID, and I'm very happy to introduce my next guest to you, who has come here live in our studio, Professor Till Bachmann, who is a professor and deputy head of infection medicine and a personal chair of molecular diagnostics and infection at the Edinburgh Medical School and the University of Edinburgh. And here at ECCMID, he has been chairing the Diagnostics Pipeline Corner. A warm welcome to you, Till.
Yeah,
very happy to have you here in our studio.
Great.
I think you have a number of affiliations and roles concerning your work in antimicrobial resistance, AMR. Let's talk a little bit about that later on. First of all, I think our viewers and myself are very interested in how the chairing of the Diagnostics Pipeline Corner was. How did you experience it?
Yeah, thank you very much, and Judith, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be at ECCMID again. I want to say this before we start, because ECCMID, it's so great to be again back on campus, if you want, on site, to see people face to face. And that was also the Diagnostic Pipeline Corner was really well attended, and it was a real pleasure to have it on site, to organize it, to interact with the people who are interested in participating. And having the interaction with the people one-on-one or in the audience. The Diagnostic Pipeline Corner is actually, I think, it's a very, like many formats on ECCMID, they have all their specific remit, and I think that is a good setting, because people can speak and have afterwards very nice interactions with the speakers. We had 5 presenters at the event, and so my idea is that we cover the most pertinent development in diagnostics. So obviously the Diagnostics Pipeline Corner is about the emerging technologies, the emerging ideas, the new innovations. Of course, it's focused on companies and on industrial developments. So we looked into the various areas, and I'm happy to go a bit more in detail if you want to speak about those. So we one aspect really about it's about diagnostics, obviously, and it's about diagnostics of infection. And my background is in antimicrobial resistance, so we had a lot on antimicrobial resistance. And usually, when you think about antimicrobial resistance and infection, you think about the bug, the pathogens, the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi. So many diagnostics focus on them, and so detecting the bacteria. And this is also one of the companies, Secunda, who was there. They had a technology. If you want, they expand on the technology of quantitative PCR. Mm-hmm. But I was so there are many companies out there who do that technology, and using a cartridge-based system and a reader system. So many are there, but there's a lot of competition, obviously, and there's a lot of innovation in this field. And I was pretty impressed by Secunda. It's a young company, and they emerged very quickly, and they claim that they have a rapid test and they have a multiplex test. And so I thought that would be a good one to have there, let's say, the direct approach going for the pathogen. However, you can go not just for the pathogen, but you can also, of course, go for the host and detect the host response as a marker, a diagnostic, if you want, to show that there's an infection going on. So because your body's immune system is amplifying the signal, if you want, and that can be detected. And again, there are quite a number of people looking into this, a lot of academic work, some industrial work, and Inflammatics, one of the companies in the field, we invited them and they presented as well. So we had the pathogen and the host response, and these are, let's say, the two cornerstones.
So this is the pipeline, right? So it's the idea, the concept, but it's not yet the validated tested tests, or
well, they're at various stages.
Are these tests going to be making it into clinical practice?
Absolutely. I mean, all the companies which were there are really striving to put it into practice, of course, and they're at various stages of development. Inflammatics is further down in the development, like Secunda, but there are, as I said, different stages. Well, in between, when you have the pathogen, you want to know which antibiotics you can use to treat the infection with that specific pathogen. And there were two companies who are working on this, and the technology is antimicrobial susceptibility testing, and a lot on ECCMID is about this, of course. But an emerging trend, or a trend which has emerged over the last years, is rapid antimicrobial susceptibility testing. So we put 2 slots on this because that's really an important area, because if you do susceptibility testing, you know which antibiotic you can use. If it's rapid, if it's fast, even better.
Yeah, this is a true unmet need still,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
The unmet need is in the speed of diagnostics. One of them, speed of diagnostics. So usually, rule of thumb, 2 days to 3 days until you have with conventional methods. Of course, there are, again, solutions out there which are faster than these 2-3 days, but it depends also on the organism. Now, the 2 examples which we had, one Astrago and the other one FAST. Astrago is looking to, they're monitoring bacteria, how they grow in microfluidic channels, and basically they count how they one by one grow in there when they expose to antibiotics. And that's very interesting because what makes it slow usually is that you need to grow the bacteria on plate until you see them.
Yeah.
And this
so what kind of sample do you need for that?
So ideally what you do is you go straight from the clinical specimen. So for example, it's urine. If you get, so many companies develop diagnostics for urinary tract infections, and many go for bloodstream infections. And the same here, both of those companies also interested in those areas. So go straight with urine sample into these settings. And so and if you watch the bacteria individually, if you want, in these microfluidic channels, then you're faster because you have this imaging technology which sees how it works in microfluidics. The other company, FAST, is looking using AI to watch the bacteria, artificial intelligence, to watch the bacteria, how they behave, if you want, how they swim. So E. coli,
it's a machine learning model.
It's machine learning, and then they, if they're happy, they swim all the way along. If they see an antibiotic, they change their direction. They are not as active anymore. So E. coli or Pseudomonas aeruginosa, they change their direction of swimming, for example, or their behavior. And this can be analyzed with artificial intelligence. You can look at other parameters like the morphology of the bacteria, how the shape, and so on. So this is used again for this rapid susceptibility testing. So you have host, the pathogen, and the susceptibility there. So really nice strategy there, or in the pipeline. So reflecting what's going on. Of course, there are many other areas which we could have put in there, and my pledge would be really, let us make the diagnostic pipeline corner a bit longer, a bit wider, so we have more space for putting in the pipeline, or reflecting the pipeline.
Well, that sounds like an excellent session. Yeah.
One other aspect which we put in there, and actually Jacob was, thank you Jacob for anyway having us there, but also the suggestion was to have one talk on quality. So NRL, a company, or it's a non-for-profit organization in Australia, they provide software solutions for companies or for groups really to monitor the quality of their tests. Of course, very often people say, it's not technology development, and this is something which you have to do. It's not really that exciting, people may think, but it is. Because if you don't know about where you are with your tests in the global cloud so this is people feeding their data into a data bank, and then you can see a database, so you can see where you are in the global trend with a certain device. So if you have a new device, you put your new device in there, and then depending on your base, this will show you where you are with your test. So it's very important because you know that your data, your results are actually within the quality.
Yeah.
Again, it's an important aspect, and connectivity, interconnection is of course another trend in there.
Yeah, a very interesting session on the innovations in AMR, and I think it really cross-links with your other roles and your scientific work in AMR, right? Because you're also on the scientific board, if I'm correct, of the JPI AMR, the Joint Program Initiative on AMR.
Yes.
Do you care to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yes. So the Joint Programming Initiative on Antimicrobial Resistance, I've been part of the Scientific Advisory Board for a while now, and now I'm the chair. And it's a particularly interesting time because we are currently updating the strategic research and innovation agenda for JPIMR.
Yeah.
So far, or always, One Health has been in the forefront for JPIMR, so the connection between human health, animal health, and environment. Food, you could say, is a big part of that. And with the development in this area, JPIMR has really taken a lot of initiative in this space in terms of funding, but also in terms of strategic priority setting. And this is what we are continuing to do. This has started this year, 2022, the update of the SRA. If people go online, they will find that there is invitation to participate in 5 strategic groups, or 5 thematic groups, to be precise. It's a process going through this year, and this is targeting the development of the One Health platform. The One Health partnership, which is a new instrument, a funding instrument, a platform where future funding calls will be developed in Europe. And so this will be launching in 2024. And so it's now the time where the community is invited to participate with that. So it's really exciting times. And as you can imagine, I'm very interested that diagnostic is represented very well in there.
Absolutely.
But not only diagnostics. So obviously this is covering all the areas in AMR which are important. So.
Yeah, and you're connecting scientists and disciplines from all over, all topics surrounding AMR, right?
Absolutely.
And also countries, because you're also
yes.
working on a UK-India project, I believe?
Yes, I am, and I just need to say that JPIMR is not a European-only organization. It has a lot of partner countries, member countries around the world, so it's a global initiative. So, because AMR is obviously it's a global issue, so it needs to be tackled globally. And as you say, I have international activities, including with India. So we have one project, the DOSA project, which is targeting a One Health setting, so human, environment, and animal health and AMR in these settings. And there, what we do is we develop diagnostic solutions for AMR in the community.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but I can imagine it's applicable to other countries as well,
absolutely,
right?
But it's if you want, it's a LMIC, a low and middle income country setting, and we are specific. This is where globally, from a global perspective, there is a huge need. There's a huge need for access to antibiotics, access to diagnostics. So this is where we're targeting, and we're going out into the community, and we understand where the needs are. We co-develop with community members areas, touch points where diagnostics could be used, and then also how diagnostics should be looking like. With that project, together with other, or also in other projects, we have been developing target product profiles. The companies will be very familiar with that, but in the academic setting, that's not a term which is very often used. So we do understand how a diagnostic should look like in order to be taken up by the users in the community. So for example, we work in urinary tract infections in the community in India, and there we heard about this on Saturday and yesterday again about the access to diagnostics and access to healthcare. So many people don't seek healthcare in these countries, in the setting where we are in LMICs and the setting where we are in India, because it's taking too much time out of their daily life, out of a lot of resources, so they tend to find other solutions or just live with the condition. And specifically with urinary tract infection, that's a devastating situation because it's recurring. So every 3 weeks or so, people have those experiences or experience these symptoms. So there's a huge pressure to do something about it, and this is where we are with the diagnostics. So we take the diagnostics to the patient rather than trying to take the patient into the healthcare system, because that's a huge structural issue which we won't solve with one project, but we can go out with the diagnostics. And this is where I think we need to have really a step change with point of care testing, where we do it, of course, in primary healthcare centers around the world, but we also go out into the communities. We have seen this a lot with COVID. Now we are all used to, in the high-income countries, we are used to do our self-testing with the lateral flow. Of course we are, but if you go out into those communities, they haven't seen a lateral flow
No.
test
No.
for COVID. So it's really something which we work with
Yeah.
with the partners, and specifically in India here.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that a recurring theme for being on the scientific cutting edge now of diagnostics, it's really into rapid testing, point of care testing,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Weren't you also on the board or on the judging of a longitudinal prize,
Oh,
I
yes,
think,
of
on
course, of course, yes.
antimicrobials?
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think that's related to the whole rapid testing, right?
Excellent, excellent, very good question. So the Longitude Prize is an award. It's awarded by Nesta Innovation Initiative in the UK and funded by Innovate UK. £8 million for someone who comes out with a rapid diagnostic test to preserve antimicrobials. So in order to do this, it needs to tell, for example, which antibiotics to use if they are needed. So a rapid test, it needs to be point of care. There are 7 criteria which need to be met, and as you say, it has to be rapid. So the only quantitative criterion is 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's very, very challenging if you look at what's out there in the community. So it's 30 minutes, but it also needs to be cost effective, it needs to be affordable, it needs to be applicable around the world in different settings. And from that perspective, these 30 minutes are especially challenging. And as you say, it's called an advisory panel, so we advise the judges who then finally make the decision from the funders and so on. So who gets the award?
Are there already tests that can do it within 30 minutes? Are they
No.
already available?
There's no one who has won the prize, obviously, and
Okay.
it's a pledge to the community. You have time. There's one deadline in May, and then the final deadline is in September 2022. And so if you have a test apply, there's still time. It's the 30-minute mark is until September. If no one wins it by September, it's first past the post. So if someone comes in May and you haven't applied, it's gone. If no one gets it with the 30 minutes by September, it will be expanded to 60 minutes. So
well, this
watch
is, I
this
think,
space,
really
but
a good call for all our
Absolutely.
viewers right now.
Absolutely.
If you have a test, you're developing it, this could be a very good incentive, I think, right?
Yeah, well, there are 50 teams currently competing
little
or active for the field for the prize. But of course, the Longitude Prize is, I think the Longitude Prize, it was launched 2014. Imagine, since 2014, people could have won it. So, but what it also did is it stimulated a lot of activity around the world where people started really focusing on developing such tests which are rapid, affordable, and can be applicable in settings like an LMIC. So it really stimulated a lot of development, and that in itself is a very positive impact. And of course there will be one winner at the end who gets the 88 million, but there will be many, 49 teams at least, who have worked on something which I'm sure will find other solutions, applications.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just taking it back to the ECCMID, you chaired the session on Saturday already. Have you had a satisfactory ECCMID so far? Were there enough research topics suiting your personal interest and research focus?
If anything, ECCMID is offering too much.
Too much?
No. This is it's such a wonderful.
It's a luxury problem.
It's such a wonderful event, and yes, of course, there are fantastic talks. There is the fantastic exhibition and possibility to network. You don't know where to start. Obviously, you prepare and you pick your talks and meetings, but then you get sidetracked because you see something else, which is really exciting. Yeah. I must say, the beauty is the many keynote talks, for example. Yeah. Where you see, you should visit maybe also aspects which are not core to your normal interests. So that, I think, is a huge opportunity.
It's an excellent opportunity.
And then you can catch up afterwards with all the recordings. But I must say, I've learned a lot. I've made many good contacts, and
you have still one and a half day
more
to go.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. So
well, thank you so much, Till, for coming in here and telling us a little bit more about the Diagnostics Pipeline Corner and your other activities, research activities on innovation. That was very interesting. Thank you for taking
Thank
the
you so
time and
much. Thank
coming
you.
in.
Yes, pleasure.
For our viewers, thank you very much for joining us again this morning. We will be back at the clock of 11, and we will be back with another guest, Professor Nico Mutters, who is the scientific coordinator of the UKIC, so the European Committee on Infection Control. So that will be very interesting to hear from him a little bit more about their activities at the moment. So hope to see you back at 11. Until then,